Hi everyone, welcome back to Storytime Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the film from 2004, The Final Cut. Without any further, let's get started. Alan Hackman is a little boy visiting with his parents to a different place when he encounters Lewis Hunt, a fellow kid who is always playing with his necklace and wiping his glasses with his shirt. The two of them bond while playing together. When they discover an abandoned factory building, they go inside to investigate it. After he has crossed a wooden plank that is high above the ground, Alan tells Lewis to do the same despite Lewis's fear. Lewis follows him, but he only gets halfway before losing his courage and falling, attempting to cling to the edge for a few seconds before striking the ground. Alan sees Louis' necklace impaled on a nail and grabs it. After heading down to check on Lewis, who is clearly dead and lying on a pool of his own blood. After scraping the blood off his shoes and running away in tears and terror, Alan departs the town with his parents a few hours later without telling anybody what happened. Many years later, an adult Alan is employed as a cutter, a man who specializes in transforming people's memories into condensed biographical movies known as memories. The video is from a device known as a Zoe implant, which is implanted in newborns and records your life. This has generated a lot of controversy among various rebel groups who protest for their privacy and display their opinions by getting their faces tattooed. 3 rules apply to cutters: they are not allowed to sell or give away the footage, they are not allowed to have an implant themselves, and they are not allowed to combine material from multiple people to create a single memory. Alan, who is especially well known for editing for controversial figures, is demonstrating Mr. Monroe's memory demo to one of his clients today, who recently died, and recording the family members' responses in a notebook to determine what works and what doesn't, that is connected with a Lewis necklace. When the client leaves, he watches the video again and discovers the clip of Mr. Monroe hitting his wife, which he then deletes without regret. Later in the evening, he meets with fellow cutters Hazen, Thelma, and her helper Michael. Michael wants to recommend a buddy to Alan for the position, but he reminds them that he works alone.
Straight to business.
Thelma informs Alan that she has a position for him since Charles Bannister, an high-tech lawyer, passed away and his wife is trying to find a cutter. Thelma was unable to accept the position since his memories are too disturbing, but Alan is suited to the task, so he accepts. Later, Alan goes to the bookstore where he has a crush on Delilah. After she closes the store, he invites her to his house and shows her the guillotine, a special computer he uses to alter the memories. She has never attended a memorial service for anyone, including her ex-boyfriends, because she wants to remember him in her own way. Alan shows her a special edit he's made using a man's footage in front of the mirror in reverse, and Delilah feels a connection to it because she has this recurring dream where she's aging backward. After talking about his work some more, Alan brings Delilah to bed and they make love. The next day, Alan interviews Mrs. Bannister to find out what recollection she would like to be part of her husband's memory, while their daughter Isabel watches from behind the door. He then proceeds to the funeral of Mr. Monroe, where a crowd of demonstrators has assembled at the entrance. While Alan is playing his edit for Mr. Monroe's family and friends and record their responses, former cutter Fletcher approaches him and offers to pay $500,000 to purchase Mr. Bannister's memories. Alan declines, citing the rules that apply. As he leaves the funeral, he notices Mrs. Monroe talking with a friend and remembers how he had to cut out Mr. Monroe cheating on his wife with that woman. As he exits the building, the demonstrators strike him with their signs. After retrieving Mr. Bannister's memories from the high-tech business, he organizes them on the computer and conducts research on the man's life using his own notes, news articles, and photos. While editing the video, he eventually learns why he was summoned for this case. He used to assault his daughter, which he clearly removes from the video. Then, while he watches a party memory, he sees a man clean his glasses in the same manner as Louis, leading him to believe it might be him. Thus, he instructs the computer to look for any other instances of this man in Mr. Bannister's recollections. After that, he visits Delilah to discuss this finding, but she is upset with him because he hasn't given her a call since their night together. She believes that his excessive use of the guillotine has ruined his outlook on life, so he departs without informing her. Later, when Alan visits Thelma, Michael answers the door for him. Thelma then sends him away, so they can speak in private. Alan tells her about Fletcher's visit and Thelma in return tells him what happened to him.
Seems changed.
When Fletcher's sister's son passed away, she became fixated on viewing his memory repeatedly and stopped interacting with others. Soon after, Fletcher resigned, and there are rumors that a former cutter is leading the anti-implant movement. Thelma admits that she wouldn't be shocked if it were Fletcher. That would explain why he wanted to purchase the Bannister footage, since he was the high-tech lawyer, which they might use to spread anti-implant propaganda. Because the computer is taking too long to search through all of the memories, Alan decides to speak with the family once again, in order to locate any clues about Lewis. But first, he stopped into a bar to purchase the gun from a man he recognized from some old memories he had worked on. He then runs into Fletcher at the train station, telling him that he views himself as a sin eater who provides redemption to the immoral.
After all history.
After acknowledging that he wants the footage to spark a scandal on the news, Fletcher threatens Alan by introducing him to Simon, a mercenary who works with him. Alan ignores them and walks away. Using an excuse of conducting research for the memory, Alan returns to Mrs. Bannister to ask her a few questions, which gradually lead to a question related to Lewis, of which she is completely unfamiliar.
Community.
He tries with Isabel next, but she refuses to discuss her father. However, after Alan shows her that he lost both of his parents as a youngster, Isabel agrees to tell him about the guy he is seeking. Yes, that was Lewis Hunt, one of her teachers who passed away in a car accident a year ago. As he prepares to leave, Isabel asks Alan to erase all of the times she misbehaved and change what his father will remember. Alan says he will. In a desperate attempt to locate Lewis, Alan calls Hazen and requests a favor. He has a relative who can grant them access to the high-tech company, allowing Alan to look for Lewis' implant. When they are looking through the office's boxes, a guard nearly catches them, but they switch off their flashlights until he leaves. Then it's back to searching. Sadly, Lewis didn't have an implant. Alan makes an even bigger discovery. He has a Zoe implant and he never knew about it because his parents died before they told him. Since it is advised that you inform your children this when they become 21, Alan steals the file and takes it home with him, where he watches the recording of the salesman selling the implant to his parents, feeling incredibly upset.
Your son can live his life.
After punching his bathroom mirror, Alan has a panic attack and flees to the streets. In some way, he calls Delilah, who arrives to his house to look after him. They spend the evening viewing video that he has never shown anybody before. It is filmed from defective implants that record daydreams and hallucinations, since they are unable to distinguish between what the eyes and mind see. After Delilah goes to sleep, Alan exits the building without realizing that Fletcher and Simon are observing him from their car. He then proceeds to a tattoo business that specializes in electrosynthetic tattoos, which produce a magnetic field that disrupts the Zoe implant. 2 tattoos are required, one for the video and one for the audio blocking. Although the artist is aware that he is a cutter, he agrees to work on him anyway, she explaining that he need not paint his entire face because people are merely expressing their opinions. Alan ends up with a small, simple tattoo for the audio on the back of his neck. As he gets back to his flat, he hears sounds coming from the guillotine. Fearing that someone has broken in to steal his footage, he pulls out his gun. Only to find out it's Delilah seeing a collection of memories of her that Alan has preserved for himself. This really disturbs her, and she becomes even more agitated upon discovering that he is carrying a gun. After slapping him, she then takes her gun and shoots the guillotine, destroying the tape of the banister before she leaves. He brings the damaged implant to Hazen, but he is unable to repair it.
It's just a different life.
Okay.
Alan wants to use the one on his head instead, and after hearing those words, Hazen punches him till he passes out. When he awakens, Thelma is also there. She and Hazen are upset with Alan for breaking the code by bringing an implant to work, which might land them in serious trouble. Alan says he didn't realize he had it until lately and wants Hazen to have access to it while he's still alive, like he did with the previous customer. Despite Hazen's explanation that it is extremely risky and that his victim never recovered, becoming a blank for the rest of her life, and when he learns that Alan will do it with or without them, he decides to accept it. But at least with their assistance, he may still survive to the end. Alan agrees to the condition that he cannot cut again after this. Alan's head is connected to a computer, but it won't record anything. It will just let him observe, and he has 5 minutes before things become too dangerous. Although the first electric shock hurts a lot, Alan quickly gets better and begins watching the video. After stopping for some seconds to see a memory of his parents' funeral, his first kiss, and another one of himself in the mirror. When he eventually goes back to the day he first met Lewis, Alan is surprised to see how much his memory has changed over the years. After tells Lewis, he tried to stop him when he noticed it was too dangerous, and what he stepped on later hadn't been blood. It was just paint. He is so moved by this that he becomes distracted and fails to take the wires out of his head in time, which results in another electric shock when the 5 minutes are up.
Do you have any idea how close you came?
Fortunately, he is doing well, and he is grateful to the other two cutters for helping him discover inner peace. When he gets back, the door to his apartment is open, and Fletcher and Simon are there searching for Bannister implants. Alan gives it to them since it's destroyed, and an angry Fletcher leaves after taking Alan notes with him, which is better than nothing. The following day, Alan goes to Mrs. Bannister to inform her that the video was destroyed in an accident. Although she publicly laments the loss, she appears to be relieved, even stating that some things are best left behind. Therefore, her mother is wrong. All of this will be recalled in the future. Isabel gets upset and hurries to her room, where she witnesses Alan leave their home through the window. Her implant is recording all of this. Alan then goes to Lewis' grave and places his necklace there. Fletcher discovers him there and informs him that he has done some research after learning that Alan is no longer cutting, and that he has an implant, meaning that he is experiencing Bannister's memories.
Seen his life.
He draws a gun, follows Alan across the cemetery, misses his initial shots, and catches up to him when he stumbles. However, to Alan's surprise, Fletcher receives some last-minute mercy and shoots at the air, but Simon then unexpectedly appears and murders Alan. After a few days, Fletcher is wearing Lewis' necklace and studying the video of Alan's implant, looking for Bannister's personal information. He assures Alan that he is doing this for the benefit of society. Thanks for watching, and remember to turn on your notifications to watch more movie recaps like this one.